Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, welcome back. We welcome you back to the second day. And we will start right away with the 7 values that we discussed yesterday. So, to recap, don't look at your notes, please. After 2 minutes, you can see. I'm going to ask some questions. If you know the answer, raise your hand and then I'll ask you and then you can answer. Is that okay? First question. We will be discussing 7 values, but there is something most important. What is that? Which is going to be the basis of this 2.5 days of retreat. Who will answer? Yes? Journal writing? Pausing? No. Yes, Simran. Kirtan, Sankirtan, right? We discussed that. What is the example we gave for Sankirtan being the essence of everything? Yes, Mataji. Sutre Mani Gana Iva. Yes. So this is what we discussed. And therefore we are going to have Kirtans throughout. And which is the verse we discussed from Srimad Bhagavatam? That Sankirtan is everything. Who will answer? Where is Divya Krishna? No, he's not here. He's here? Divya Krishna, kaun sa shlok tha kal? You remember that? Wow. Number bhi yaad hai isko. Haribol. Thank you. This is the verse we discussed. So then we discussed Krishna conscious values. Now remember, I spoke about how advanced devotees, in my interview of many senior devotees, I understood that they are experiencing Krishna not because they are having some mystical darshan. They are experiencing Krishna not because of, some abstract thing. They are experiencing Krishna because of 2 tangible realities in their life. What are these 2 tangible realities? Yes, Prabhu.
What's the inner dialogue?
Inner dialogue. What is the inner dialogue of advanced devotees?
I want to chant.
I want to chant, and our inner dialogue is, I have to chant my rounds. I have seen 2 devotees chanting once. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Kitna wala baki hai? So he said, Mera 4 baki hai. 4, mera 8 baki hai. As if, as if it's a big burden somebody has given. So I have to chant, But advanced Vaishnava, so we can know we are advancing if our inner dialogue becomes, I want to chant. So here in this 2.5 day retreat, the whole idea was Kirtan. Why we have merged Kirtan class? So that you experience a taste and then you have this inner dialogue always. I want to chant. I get to chant. I am so fortunate. So that is the first what is the second? Yes, Prabhu.
So, initially we chant to get some peace or job or some things like that. Then later on it changes. I want a stable job so that I can chant nicely.
Yes. You want to add something to this?
Chanting is not the means but the end.
Yes. So you are giving an example for the principle. Chanting is not a means, but an end. Initially chanting becomes a means for us. So when we came new to Hare Krishna, we came for Kirtan because we thought I'll get peace. But what Simran taught in the morning is for devotees who want to have some peace, breathing, so that they can then. Our goal is to chant Hare Krishna. When we are new, we want to chant Hare Krishna so that we can get some peace. So we can work on this. So this is the way we'll experience Krishna in our life very tangibly. And what are the 7 values that we discussed? We briefly discussed them. What is the first? We practice that is Abhishek.
Pause, pondering.
That means reflective living, a culture of reflective living. What is the second principle? Embracing pain, which is not what we're going to discuss today. Embracing pain and suffering. Third, patience. We didn't discuss it in detail. Be patient, we will discuss. That is called avyagratva. Don't rush the practice of chanting. And what is the 4th principle? Sankirtan. And that is congregational chanting. And basically it means common commitment to sadhana. So we are all having a common commitment. We are encouraging each other to practice spiritual life. That is Sankirtan. And the next is 5th, appreciation and gratitude, culture of appreciation and gratitude. And sixth, improving faith and surrender to Krishna. And last is connection to parampara. And we discussed the first one, which was pause, ponder and pray. And we discussed two types of journal writing. What are those two types? Free writing and reflective writing. What is free writing? You write without stopping, not thinking. Not writing without thinking, writing without stopping. You can think. Writing to discover. That is the main thing about free writing. And reflective writing is?
Writing what you discovered.
Writing what you discovered. You have already figured out something. You have pondered about something. So we discussed that. And then we had a gratitude journal exercise. I hope all of you answered this question very honestly. This is a thought-provoking question, isn't this? I took it from Mahatma Prabhu. And it made so much sense to me. So we are practicing. Sometimes we don't even know what goals I have, why I am in Hare Krishna. So today we will enter this very, very important topic. Embracing pain and suffering. Now this is important topic because to experience Krishna in this material world. What is this material world? A place of dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So we are living in this material world and we want to experience Krishna. So if we have to experience Krishna in this material world, we have to embrace pain and suffering. Because that is the law of this material world. And what this basically means is don't expect your life to be happy materially. So if there is going to be expectation that I've come to Hare Krishna now, everything will be nice, I'll get a good job, good spouse, good everything, then expectation reality gap will make you frustrated and you lose faith in Krishna. So we come to Hare Krishna and we quote left, right and center 8th chapter verse Maam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This material world is a place of dukkha, suffering, temporary. We quote very nicely left, right and center, but in our deep innermost heart, we secretly think, I'm an exception. I deserve to be happy. This is the reality. This fantasy, this desire for pleasure and happiness is very, very deep rooted. And we don't really believe this verse. I mean, we believe this verse, but we don't trust it. We think, mere saath nahi hoga aisa. So we have grown up seeking, ask yourself honestly, from childhood, we have grown up, most of us have grown up seeking relief from pain, which is natural. And we have always sought comforts, fan, AC, small things. I remember the first time my grandparents came to Mumbai, I had already come a few years before them. I grew up in a village and we didn't have, running water. We had to take water from the well and all that. Typical village life. And when they came, I was very fascinated because, for them, living without fan in summer, it was uncomfortable, but there was a lot of grace in their life, in the way they handled provoking situations. Because life was harsh, so they would tolerate. Srila Prabhupada writes in the 2nd chapter, Gita purport, he gives 2 examples that a sannyasi has to perform austerity. And he gives the example of a mother cooking in the kitchen in the summer and a sannyasi taking bath in the winter, cold water. He says it's difficult, but then when we are hardwired for comforts, like I remember many times, go to many villages even today, cooking is through firewood. They actually have to, and water from the well, no fan, electricity is unpredictable. But if you ask yourself honestly, what is the default setting? Look for spiritual experience or look for comfort? You don't have to answer me. It is a very personal, private question. So what is my default setting? Do I always look for something that will give me comfort? Or am I hunting for spiritual experience? This is a very important principle that we are discussing now. What is your default mode? Kamsa hai aapka? I have come to GEB for thoda acha break, peace. Or have I come looking for spiritual experience? That's why I've seen many places that put up this board. This is not a tourist spot, picnic spot. Many times you go to yatra for picnic, for pleasure. But advanced devotees, little advanced devotees, they go looking for peace. They say, बहुत suffering हो रहा है. Picnic मजा तो नहीं, थोड़ा कम से कम शांति मिलेगा. Break. And some of them, they are more advanced. They have gone many times to Vrindavan, but still they want to go, not for pleasure, not for peace, but for purification of the heart. I want to purify my heart. And there are still more advanced devotees, they go to Vrindavan for the pleasure of Krishna. Because Krishna wants, Krishna will be happy. That's very advanced. But at least if our default setting is comfort, see, Gaur Gopal Prabhu, many years ago I heard from him, such a striking statement. One statement, this is a life changer. He said, if you are comfort seeking, you are experience deprived. And if you are experience seeking, you are comfort deprived. Beautiful, no? If you are constantly looking for some comfort, then spiritual experience may not be there. So, and it is important because as we get older, we need more comfort. Body needs. So that's okay. We have needs. But we should not forget the most important need. That is Krishna consciousness. Because the body doesn't cooperate as we get older. So does that mean all other needs are so important that I forget the most important need? Like when we get older, we get rooms, we get some facility. Why we get this facility? I'm talking about the renounced order. Grihastha ashram, you may have your own facilities. You may need, as you get older, you may need some comfort. You may need a washing machine. As you get older, we need more and more comforts in life because of our need. That's okay. But those facilities we are getting as we get older is so that we can take shelter of Krishna. But what happens, many of us, we take shelter of those facilities. So that is why this principle is very important, embracing pain and suffering. So if we want to change our paradigm, instead of trying to always run away from misery, let us thoda sa saas dikhao, bahuduri dikhao. Now come in front of pain and suffering and say, yes, I'm here. Knock me out. Kya karna hai, karo mere saath. So this is a very deep topic. We are going to dive into it a little more. But please understand that if we want to experience Krishna in our life, we should be ready to face discomfort physically. I clarify, we need facilities, but not at the cost of forgetting Krishna. See, I've seen this advertisement. There is old, Times of India, the old Times of India, in the 1880s, 90s, 1900. So there is one newspaper cutting. That time also they used to have advertisements in the newspapers like we have now. So in the 1910 or some old newspaper, Times of India, there was an advertisement of Taj Mahal Hotel in Mumbai, Gateway of India. So the advertisement says, come and stay for 3 days in Taj Mahal Hotel. And there's a lady smiling like this. That time also they use women for promoting their products. So then this lady is smiling, and above her is a 3-blade fan. That is 80% of the photograph is this fan, and then there is this lady smiling. And the caption was, come and stay in Taj Mahal Hotel and enjoy the fan. That was the promotion. And nowadays forget fan, AC has become common. That means during those days, fan was so rare. And if you had fan, it was said that you are very comfortable. So what is happening is over the period of our generations, we have forgotten the principle of living with discomfort. And if we constantly keep looking and hunting for comforts, we'll forget Krishna. Somewhere we have to know that, usko pee lena padta hai. This is going to be there with me. I can't change this. Nowadays, like for example, people can't imagine life without smartphone. But there are people still very productive and efficient, like our Gaurang Prabhu. Today you are going to attend this class on Japa. Please don't miss it, whatever happens. And today evening also is going to do Kirtan in Temple Hall also. Please attend his Kirtans. They are amazing. And tomorrow morning's class, kuch bhi ho, don't miss it. He is the director of Bhaktivedanta, our Govardhaniko village, and also he is our mentor. For most of us, we came to Krishna consciousness because of him. and his classes, and he's the director of this place, but still he's very accessible to each one of you. You can go and take selfies with him. He'll oblige. It's just that you're not asking him. So he's very, very approachable and very amazing personality, and he doesn't use a smartphone. He just has one Nokia old model. I hope still it is the same, na? Abhi bhi wahi hai, na? So what I'm trying to say, and he's very effective and efficient. So, and one of the great Hollywood directors, Christopher Nolan, I think that's his name. He also doesn't have a smartphone. So many people, I'm not saying you should not have I myself have one. That's not the point. The point is, we can't imagine life, but there are people living without this. Like there was saying, na, nowadays, क्या आज के बच्चों के हाथ से स्मार्टफोन छीन लेना मतलब ICU के पेशेंट के मुंह से लाइफ सपोर्ट सिस्टम निकाल देना. They just go crazy. कैसा कलयुग आ गया है कि इंसान गिरता है तो हंसी आती है और स्मार्टफोन गिरता है तो जान निकल जाती है. स्मार्टफोन गिर गया. So that's how life is. Like, you know, yesterday I was walking outside our place where I was staying, trying to look at the stars. Hai kya kahin stars? But it was raining and then, so I couldn't. But you know, when we were young, हम वहाँ सोना पसंद करते थे जहाँ चांद तारे दिखे. आजकल हम वहाँ सोना पसंद करते हैं जहाँ चार्जर लगा सके. चार्जर लगा. सब कंफर्ट चाहिए, बस कंफर्टेबल. So again, I'm not criticizing the need, because I myself have a need for hot water and all those things, you know. So, but then what happens is, how Maya gets us, we forget the most important, Krishna. And if our default setting is we want to avoid pain, then pain will never leave you. It will come in different ways, wherever you go. So, how the mind cheats us? Mind cheats us by giving us soft options in life. Mind is expert in giving us, अरे टेंशन नहीं लेना, खुश रहो. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Spiritual life में we have to little stretch. See, mind doesn't like to take challenges. It wants to be peaceful by default, and mind knows what scares me. Mind knows what are my fears. Mind knows us, like mind knows, na? Mind is what? Everything, right? So it has a tactical advantage in preventing you from going closer to Krishna. Mind is expert in preventing you from experiencing Krishna. So the mind will say, you can't chant, come on, 16 rounds is too much. It prefers a soft situation to a hard one, a tough one. So in Japa also, like I've seen many devotees, they can chant more, but I feel scared to tell them, because, you know, who am I? I mean, I don't have authority to tell you how many rounds you're chanting. I'm not their guru. I'm just a teacher. So, but then it's up to you. You have to take a call. But many times our mind cheats us. Nahi, I can't chant more. Nahi hoga. That's a mind giving you a softer option than the hard one. But we grow when we choose the hard option. See, the reason why this happens psychologically, the mind, if you see, mind protects us from many dangers from childhood. Right? Like, for example, you know, when you're in a train, why don't you jump out of the train? The mind tells you, nahi, nahi jana. The mind protects us, right? There is a deep ocean. The mind will tell you, nahi jane ka nahi udhar, sharks hai. So the mind protects us. But you know what happens? The mind protects us so much from childhood. We have allowed the mind to protect us so much that the mind prevents growth. That protection becomes so much that we stop growing. And that's the very big danger. And that's how the mind controls us. And if we don't take control of the mind, if we don't take charge, the mind will always keep giving us soft options. अरे अच्छा यार, इसी में बैठो, comfortable. प्रभु जी आप क्लास दो, एक्सरसाइज इंटरैक्टिव मत करो प्रभु जी. Like, you know, when I used to do interactive, you know, brahmachari classes in temple, they used to say, प्रभु जी आप क्लास देते रहो, बस 2 घंटे 3 घंटा तो चलेगा, हमको दिमाग लगाने को मत बोलो. You know, just you keep giving, and in between we'll sleep a little bit, but it's okay, you know, you just let me be comfortable. But growth comes when we choose the hard options. So there is a 40% rule of the mind. This can be a life changer again, a very, very powerful rule. And the 40% rule is of the mind is whenever the mind says you are exhausted, it is basically you have used only 40% of the mind's capacity. That is the 40% rule of the mind. So there is a huge reservoir which is untapped. And therefore, we need hard training for the mind. And Hare Krishna, when we were young devotees, we got that hard training. But somewhere as we got older, we forgot about that hard training. 4 rounds, then 8 rounds, then 16 rounds. Then 16 rounds becomes very normal. Then the mind cheats us by saying, "Arey, theek hai, 16 mala ho raha hai na, tension nahi lena." No, but in those 16 rounds, quality can be improved. So I'll just share one training of the mind. Now, this is not to be imitated. I'm not saying we should all do this. I can never do this. It's tamasic and rajasic, but it's an example to show how mind can be trained. So there is this very famous, Marcos, Marine Commandos. So in US they have Navy SEALs, and in India they are called Commandos. So I met one Marine Commando in Nasik. It's incredible training. They are like, they can have some 20 kg bag on their back and they swim some 10 kilometers and all that. It's crazy training. So in this US Navy SEALs and India's Marine Commandos have one of the most rigorous naval training for the commandos. And it's all about mind. The top tennis players, what differentiates the top seed from the 100th seed? Actually, the 100th seed and the top seed, their game is not much different. At that level, everybody, top people, all of them are more or less equally good. It's the mental game. So in what is this training called? There is one special, I think it is 130 hours of rigorous training. I think 1 week training where 1 or 2 weeks. Basically 130 hours they have to get trained with only 2 hours of sleep at night. So it's called as a hell week. That's the name. Hell week. That week, you will get a hellish experience. So these commandos go through that. And they are told to do at least one hell week experience in their life. In the part of their commando training. So it's crazy because that one hell week reduces 5 years from your life. So imagine from morning to night you are only training and 2 hours you sleep. And they have this calculation, 130 hours karna hi hai. So, and there are some commandos, you won't believe it, they have done 3 hell weeks in their life. They are like Maharathis, Mahajans. So now those who have, and the whole program is designed to break you. It is not, they actually say this. It is designed to break you. And those who survive, their interviews I read. And it was fascinating. All those who succeeded in surviving that hell week. Again, I'm repeating, we can't do this. We won't do this. We won't endorse it because we are not in the army. We are not in the navy. But we can take inspiration from them and do something in our own life. So there are 2 very common things, all of them who survived this hell week I've mentioned. The first is, now this is very, very counterintuitive. Intuitively you may think, oh, they must be thinking 130 hours. So now 10 hours have gone, 120 left. They may be thinking, this is what intuitively we would think. But counterintuitively, they don't think like this. Those who have survived, they actually, they don't say at all that abhi itna ghanta baki hai. They actually live in the present moment and they are suffering and they accept that they are suffering and there is pain. This is painful, but this is what it is. I'll repeat. This is painful. See, they are not escaping the pain. What they are doing? They are present with the pain, which means they're basically, I use a very dramatic, graphic word, embrace the pain. What basically it means is instead of escaping the pain, they are present with the pain. वो दर्द के साथ वो रह रहे हैं. So what happens if when we learn to accept a particular situation, with sometimes it is pleasurable, sometimes it is pain. So when we learn to accept, that means we are paying attention to the present moment. Pain है, तकलीफ हो रही है. I'm just present with this, and you will be surprised. There is an eerie kind of peace that you experience in that pain. Nowadays, what we do when we feel pain, we immediately pick up our smartphone and watch some videos. That's how you are ensuring and guaranteeing lot of suffering in future. You will become a psychological nervous wreck as you get older if you are stimulating yourself when you are feeling pain. Stimulation and satisfaction are two different things. This gives us stimulation, dopamine kick. Just you just
For tolerating pain.
yeah, we try to numb the pain. No, I'm talking about the emotional pain right now. So basically, stimulating ourselves is very dangerous. So this is the first rule they follow, that they don't escape the pain, but they are present with the pain. The Navy commandos. So what happens when they do that? Surprisingly, the capacity of the mind expands. And the second very, very important tool or technique they all have is they don't think that, many times devotees use this. Oh, I'm making this sacrifice. I'm giving up this gratification because this is a sacrifice for Krishna. They never use sacrifice language. Because sacrifice makes it even more difficult, extra difficult. Because you're making sacrifice, that means it is difficult. Again. So it's a very subtle but very deep point. So they use the investment language. This is an investment for something else. So as devotees, I'm sacrificing my time for chanting Hare Krishna. No, you are investing for something you are going to get. So these two are common things. So if you are depriving yourself of some very tempting object, and don't fool yourself by saying I'm making a sacrifice to get Krishna. You are not making a sacrifice. You are investing to get Krishna. That sacrifice kya hota hai? And then the mind will cheat you. See, you are so much suffering. Why you are doing so much sacrifice? Thoda enjoy bhi kar lo. That is yesterday I said this point, that I don't have to chant. I get to chant. I want to chant. So the best way to overcome the mind's problem is to dive into hell. Means dive into the challenges. So I was wondering, these Navy commandos, they're not Hare Krishna, they're not spiritualists, but they understand the whole idea about making the mind strong. So why can't we do that? So I gave a very graphic example, but I hope you will not think that we are advocating tamasic measures of tapasya. Basically, two things I spoke about now, two techniques. One is mindfulness, being present, and second is the language, investment language, not the sacrifice language. These are the two things. But remember, Hiranyakashipu also did a lot of austerities. So we are not into our goal is not to do tapasya like Hiranyakashipu. Srila Prabhupada encouraged us to do tapasya in sattva guna. So what is the practical application of all of this before we have the next Kirtan session? Is this. So if you are going to have a class, sit in the class. Mind will, during Kirtan Japa, mind will say, oh, back is paining. But during Japa only you remember the most important phone calls to make. During Japa you remember that, oh, knees mein pain hai, I need to go to the washroom. All those ideas come only during Japa time. Oh, I have to make this. I experience this. Sometimes when I am chanting my Japa, suddenly the mind says, you have to call him. It's an important phone call. Very important. So I negotiate with my mind. Hare Krishna. Listen to Naam Utsav. It's okay. Hare Krishna. No, you have to call him. I keep persisting. That shouting with the mind is as if it's the most important. And if I don't make that phone call, I'm going to die. Itna importance magnifies it. Yes. But if you persist, Hare Krishna, the mind becomes quiet. And I've experienced this. And after the japa, I forgot to call that person. whole day went. Next day night I went to sleep. Next day morning when I took my japa and started to chant, suddenly the mind said, you have to call that person. If it was so important, why I didn't remember during the whole day? That's how the mind cheats us. So the practical application of this embracing pain and suffering in our life is that when you are having long katha, long kirtan like in this retreat, a mind will give you many ideas to call your boss, to get your things done. Restrain yourself. Embrace that pain. See, earlier when we joined Krishna Consciousness 23 years ago, if the speaker was giving a very boring class, quote and unquote boring, there is no boring class in Krishna Consciousness. But if the speaker was very soft, Hare Krishna, we should surrender to Krishna, same tone, same pitch, then we would have no choice but would sit in the class like this. We had no choice. Now people immediately, you are bored, 1, 2, 3, gone. You are in another world. So now the tolerance has gone away. Earlier you had to tolerate even a boring class. Now I don't have to tolerate anyone. So how will we make advancement? Because Krishna is present in Sankirtan. The same melody somebody is singing. That's why I love Madhav Prabhu's approach. The same melody he will sing for 2-3 hours. Because that's how we attract Krishna's mercy. Mind comes in Ekagrita stage. Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we'll discuss that later. But this is the point that we have to be here, present. About embracing pain. One is embracing pain in the present, which we discuss now. Now we are going to go deeper after Kirtan. We are going to discuss embracing pain of the past. Because the past keeps coming back. The past haunts you. Have you experienced? Some of you at least?
Yes.
So what do we mean by embracing pain of the past? Present ka samajh gaya na? Present means just tolerate. So we'll discuss past later. Hare Krishna. Sharanam Sankirtan ki Jai. Jay Sacinandan Prabhu ki Jai. So, what are the two important rules regarding practical application of the principle of embracing the pain? First, be present and mindful. What is the second? Change the language by investment and not sacrifice. So, if we have these two rules, then we can happily practice bhakti. Because physical discomfort, initial days, as then the emotional discomfort, all of that we'll be able to handle. Now, you have a choice whether you want to become a theorist or a practicalist when it comes to mind. So theorists are those who will write books on mind or who will read books on mind. They will have acronyms. All those things are all theory. If you want to be a practicalist, you have to remember 40% rule. What is the 40% rule? Who will explain? Yes, Karthik.
Prabhuji, at that mind says that, oh, thak like when mind uses only 40% of its energy.
Yes. Excellent. So 40% capacity, 40% rule you should always remember whenever we mind says, no, you can't chant more than this, you can't do this. So, the whole idea is when we are practicing sadhana like Sankirtan or Japa or hearing classes for long classes. See, when we were younger devotees, our spiritual master would give long classes, 4 or 5 hours, sometimes 6 hours. And we didn't have smartphones to distract us, so we were forced to sit. And now when I see younger devotees, like recently during Narasimha Chaturdashi festival, our spiritual master, he gave a class. He said, what time he gave? 6 o'clock. 4:30 he started the class. There are devotees who came in the morning at 9 o'clock and they remained in temple hall knowing that when the class starts at 4:30, the temple hall would be packed and they would not get place to sit. I won't embarrass them, they are here, some of them. They came early morning for Mangalarati and 9 o'clock they decided from now we will not leave the temple hall. And at 2 o'clock they came and sat right in the front. And 4:30 the speaker Maharaj came to give class. So I was like, wow, now I can't do that because I did that 25 years ago. Now I can't do it. So, but now for me, there's a different pain that I have to endure or I have to embrace. So embracing pain is there in all ages. So when we are younger, physical pain is what we love to face. But as we get older, embracing the pain of your inadequacies, embracing the pain of you not being a pure devotee, embracing the pain of not achieving what you thought you will achieve. All those things will haunt. So basically what we do at such times is, we sit with the pain. Now whether it is Bhagavatam class or whether it is your past haunting you, what we do, we sit with the pain. And what happens after some time? Sit with the pain means saying this language, I accept this pain. I'm not happy about it, but I accept it. I accept. It's painful that I did this or this happened with me. This is painful. I accept this pain. So when you sit with that pain, it passes and you become calm. Does that mean there will be no more pain? This pain passes, you become calm, means you become ready for the next pain. Next, अभी जो आने वाला है उसके लिए आप ready हो गए. But if you don't accept it, then you are not ready for the next one. And you're already grappling with the first one. So accept, let it pass, because the next one is coming. तजुर्बे ने एक ही बात सिखाई है, नया दर्द ही पुराने दर्द की दवाई है. वो नया दर्द आने वाला है. For those of you, I hope all of you understood what it means. Experience has taught me that the new pain is the solution for the old pain. Well, it doesn't sound so exciting in English.
Does नहीं आना उसमें.
उसमें वो नहीं है, पंच नहीं है. So what happens, because we have not learned to accept pain, we get into addictions. Like nowadays, alcohol, drugs, pornography. Now all these have, if you go to outside, they will give you solution. But a spiritual therapist will give you 5 things to do if you have any of these addictions. First is accepting that there is some need which is driving you to this. Like if somebody is attached to pornography, that could be a need for companionship which is coming like this. So accepting a need, like for example, if somebody is addicted to alcohol, and when you spend some time in journaling, see journaling, there is one technique, free writing also has many types. One of the techniques is called now writing, N-O-W. Now writing means you are simply writing what is mind speaking right now. Like today morning when I was writing my journal, I was writing, as I'm writing this, my mind is giving me ideas to present in today's class. So and then you continue writing, and now my mind is saying, go and take bath, get ready for Mangalarati. Whatever the mind says, you are just writing it down. So what happens is you become aware, and that takes you to the next step, which is you separate yourself from your addiction. First is becoming aware and accepting that there is some need which is driving you to this addiction, right? And second is separating yourself from your problem. Just like if you have an addiction and you're feeling guilty about it, it's okay. But if you start saying, I'm a bad person because I have this addiction, there is something wrong there. You are not bad. You have an addiction which you want to overcome. Separate yourself from your bad habit. If somebody is having an addiction and is in a lot of pain because of that, then he simply has to say, I'm not happy about it. I have this addiction and I want to overcome it. But when you start merging your identity with that habit, then that is very unhealthy. So those are able to separate themselves, they are able to overcome their addiction in the long run. And then that takes us to the third step, which is embracing the pain. Visualizing that now pain, when the desire becomes very intense, to actually be ready for that. Visualizing a painful situation. And this is the most important thing, because most people, what we try to do is we seek to increase pleasure and reduce pain. Right? Because of this, we get trapped by addictions. But to overcome sense gratification and surrender to Krishna, we have to actually embrace the pain of living without sense gratification. So giving up sense gratification is not a happy business. It is painful. We give pep talks in Hare Krishna a lot. We encourage, chanting will give you Guru Puja, dancing will get ecstasy, all that is there. But still, we have to also know that because then what we are doing is subtly we are thinking, I will get pleasure only. No, that will be pain in giving up sense gratification. And ready to embrace that pain. That is very important. And then observe the specific proposals of the mind, which is, now the mind is saying this, I told you about the journaling. Whatever the mind says, observing it and separating it from who you are. And finally, prayer to Krishna. This is spiritual therapists in ISKCON, they teach these principles. But the essence of what I'm trying to say is that great things don't come from comfort zones. And if you have had a terrible trauma in your life, something which is very painful and you are unable to live with it, then of course you need to consult a professional for help. But at the same time, when I hear and meet devotees who have had such intense situations in their lives, I feel Krishna has a plan for them. Although it's theoretical for me to say that, because not everybody goes through the kind of pain which some people go through. Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful example in the first canto. Anybody remembers to explain this point? Why Pandavas suffered so much? He gives an example from the traditional Indian, yes.
So like when mother-in-law has to chastise the daughter-in-law, she'll do it through the daughter.
In an ideal society, now generally, but Prabhupada gives that very beautiful example of how mother-in-law, when she sees that in a traditional household, when the girl has just got married and she's married my son and she's come home and she's very new in our household and she's doing this mistake. But if I tell her, she'll break down. So mother-in-law sensitively, what she does, she doesn't scold her daughter-in-law. She looks at her daughter and she scolds her and she shouts at her. So the daughter-in-law hears that and she thinks, oh, this is what I should not be doing. So Prabhupada said similarly, Krishna gave suffering to Pandavas because if he gave us, we will not be able to handle it. So similarly, there are some devotees who have had some terrible accident or tragedies in their lives and that haunts them for a long time. So when I look at them, I feel they may be like Pandavas or they may be somebody chosen one from Krishna. But the unfortunate part is that person doesn't realize that they are the chosen ones. They wallow in that suffering and the only way to become an instrument in Krishna's hand and bring light to this world is when you first embrace it and say, yes, I'm not happy about it, but I went through this. Krishna, I accept this. You've given me this. I accept it. And great advanced devotees are those who are able to turn their wounds into wisdom. And we go through so much pain trying to avoid pain. That is the difference between us and advanced devotees. We go through so much pain trying to avoid the pain. And great souls, ठीक है आया, उसको they transform it, they convert it into wisdom. So unfortunately, most of us, we believe that everything in life should be full of pleasure. So things should be pleasurable. But then what happens is when we believe that everything should be pleasurable in life, then we are constantly looking for shortcuts. We are constantly looking for distractions. And that prevents us from growing. Because it is pain that gives you an opportunity to grow. You know, there was one, when we were young, there was one man who was very famous for bodybuilding. All young people used to see him, and his name was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Very big muscles, and his story is very, very scary. From childhood, when he was a small boy, his father used to beat him with belt. Horrible story. Any child will go through that, will go mad or will become an addict or will become violent. But this man has become a star. He's become governor of one state and all that. He's become a legend. So when he was interviewed, how come generally people, when they go through abuse, they also transfer that only. Very few people are transition person. See, the whole idea, the whole psychology is like this. If I have got pain, then I give pain. That is how life is. Transition person is he or she who gets inflow of negative, but they give positive back. And you will see there are some people in the society who are transition person. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, in this case, although he's not a Hare Krishna devotee, I'm just giving a mundane example, but make a point that he received negativity, abuse from his father, and he's giving out an example for so many young boys. So how that happened? So he gave a very simple logic. He said, pain makes me grow. And growing is what I want. So pain is pleasure for me. What a powerful statement. So we as devotees, pain, if we understand, pain will help me come closer to Krishna, and Krishna is what I want, then pain becomes welcome. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, all inconveniences I get in the path of Krishna consciousness is welcome. Kunti Devi is saying, Krishna gave me more trouble. So this is very, very profound. And there is one in 2015 I read a very nice book by one Dutch Christian preacher, and he wrote a book called Wounded Healer. Yeah. So this man, Neil Donald Walsh, he was a Catholic priest, like we have in Hare Krishna sannyasis. So he was like a sannyasi, a monk in Christian monastery. And he went through depression and some suffering, and he was a professor in the Harvard University, one of the top universities in the world. And he went through so much suffering. So he at one point of time decided that I'm suffering so much, why not bring light to the world through my suffering? So he wrote this book, which became a bestseller. And the whole theme of this book is one who is wounded, he can heal the best because he's more empathetic. And in Christian monasteries, many places, this book is like a important book to read for all the renunciants. So the point is, again, I'm driving on the same point that I know we go through a lot of pain. That's why there is a very famous Jewish proverb that I don't ask for lighter burden, I ask for broader shoulders. So we go through pain, but if you think your pain and suffering is unprecedented, just start reading, and you'll read books, and you'll read about people who have gone through similar situations or worse. And we have examples of Prahlad and Pandavas. And if you read Ramayana, we generally speak about Ram. There are one of the very less spoken sections in Ramayana is the Aranyakand, where Lord Ram is in depression after losing Mother Sita. And how Lakshman counsels him. And if you see Ram's lamentation, it appears very, very ordinary. Externally, it's the way he's crying for Sita, and the way he's completely lost, and the contradictory statements he says. So when somebody accuses me in some Ramayana class that, oh, Ram banished Sita, he was a male chauvinist. So I tell them, okay, let us discuss that later. First, do you agree that Ram loved Sita? So that question is bewildering to the person who asked me the question. Then I narrate the entire Aranyakand. Then at the end of it, the person says, yes, Lord Ram definitely loved Sita. That can be no doubt about it. When you read that section, that is very clear. And then there is series of verses, actually chapters, 3-4 chapters where Lakshman is counseling Ram. And he helps Lord Ram overcome depression. And then he gives many examples of sages who have gone through different kinds of suffering. So please read Valmiki Ramayana, Aranyakand. Chapter numbers I don't remember right now. But the point is, scriptures have spoken about this. Suffering is an integral part of life. And if you want Krishna, and if you've already got your share, then accept it. You can't avoid it, can't run away from it. So there is a very beautiful verse in the Bhagavatam. I want you to repeat after me, and then whoever has a microphone can read the translation. Okay? So this is a very beautiful verse. Please repeat. Tatte nukampam susumikshmano Bunjana evatmakritam vipakam Ridvagvapurbir vidadan namaste Jivetayo muktipade sadaya bhav Who has the microphone? Yeah, please.
When a devotee is calmanious condition, he takes as he is benediction of the Supreme Lord and takes responsibility himself for his past misdeeds. In such a condition, he offers still more devotional service and is not disturbed. One who lives in such a disposition of mind, engaged in devotional service, is the most eligible candidate for promotion of the spiritual world. In other words, such a devotee's claim for promotion to the spiritual world is assured in all circumstances.
This is Brahmaji's prayer in the 10th canto, 14th chapter. So, this pain and embarrassment will be there. जहर मरने के लिए थोड़ा सा, पर जिंदा रहने के लिए बहुत पीना पड़ता है. So the poison, this world life is like that. So basically, yes, are you facing your pain or are you avoiding it? That is the question you have to ask. Each one of us has to ask ourselves. So now, if I run away from my pain, I'm actually adding more confusion. But accepting it will bring more clarity. Now, I'm going to tell you one, I know some of you may have a question, Prabhuji, but if I accept pain, then won't I become more depressed? No, we have Krishna. Krishna wants to see whether I first accept that pain. See, what we do, no, Krishna, you take, I am suffering. So we don't want to accept it and we just run to Krishna. Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal, no? Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal. Krishna is like that cow who licks the calf. That story you have heard, when the calf is born, the calf is filled with all the things which is coming from the cow's body and then the cow licks it. So similarly, we say we have all these problems, sinful reactions, Krishna will remove all of it. That is to tell others. But for ourselves, we have to take responsibility. Krishna, see what I have done. This is what I have done. And I accept it now. It's up to you. But I am yours. And I accept what I have gone through and what I have done. See, I have seen two devotees. Both have reasons to be miserable and both have reasons to be happy. But how mind tricks us, because we don't have this principle of embracing suffering. One devotee is extremely guilty because when his father died, he was not there with him. And he's always been grateful to his father. And he's saying, my father did so much for me, and when my father died, he is a brahmachari. So he's saying, I was not with him and I feel I didn't serve him enough. He wanted me by his side. I let him down. And it's really, externally he's doing nice devotional service, but guilt. कि पिताजी को दुख पहुंचा है. And then I met another devotee, a grahastha. It's interesting. He served his father for 10 years. Was bedridden. Father was bedridden. He and his wife and his children very sincerely served his father. And he died giving full blessings to his son. But he's miserable because serving a bedridden person is not easy for 10 years. So it was very, very painful. So when this father died, he actually felt relief. But then now he's feeling guilty because he felt relief. So when he revealed his heart, he was telling me, Prabhuji, I'm so sinful that I'm happy that my father died. So then I told him, then I smiled. I said, wow, just if I tell your story to this brahmachari, that you served your father for 10 years, he will think you are so good. So then I told him, I didn't tell him the name. I said, there is one devotee I know who would have wished to do what you did. So then he said, but what is he doing? I said, he's a brahmachari. So he couldn't serve his father. He said, Prabhuji, he's so lucky, he's serving Krishna. I said, wow. So this is how life is, because and both of them are suffering because of their inability to embrace the pain. So if he says, if the first Brahmachari Govind tells Krishna, I did a wrong thing, okay? I should have taken care of my father, I did. Abhi, this is what I have done. And whatever you think I deserve, you do. I want to serve you. I made a mistake. That doesn't mean I make a mistake now of leaving you. Whatever it is. Basically, accepting what we have done or what has happened to us. So if this Grihastha devotee goes to Krishna, Krishna, I am yours. And I feel relief. It was painful serving. It was so difficult. But I love my father. See, that can't be taken away. We give a lot of stories to ourselves. And we make our lives more complicated than it deserves to be. So you are not what happens to you. So therefore, sometimes people say experience is the mother of wisdom. Have you heard? This is a very famous statement. Experience. No, I add one word, painful experience. If experience is the mother of wisdom, pain is a father. Pain is the father of wisdom. And because if we have been trained from childhood to avoid pain and seek pleasure, then we will never get wisdom. And Krishna consciousness offers a lot of opportunity for us to come closer to Krishna. So there is no coming to consciousness, Krishna consciousness, without this ability to accept pain. Many of us, sometimes we do very absurd things simply to avoid pain. And one does not become enlightened in Krishna consciousness by imagining Krishna's transcendental form. One actually becomes enlightened when one is able to live with their dark side and offer it to Krishna for healing. Carl Jung, you have heard of his name? He is the most influential psychologist of the 20th century. And he gave this concept called dark side. And he said every human being has a dark side to them. Dark side means that aspect of your personality which you don't want to share with the world, which you can't share with the world, which is not socially acceptable or which is culturally abhorred. But that aspect everyone has, a dark side. So most people live in denial of that dark side and others live shamelessly. But a mature, evolved person is able to come to terms with it. And we in Hare Krishna have the additional advantage of Krishna, whom we can offer it for healing. So therefore, many devotees, they become addicted to smartphone and other things because of this inability to face our own problems. So let us do some meditation on this. And as we enter the next kirtan, after this kirtan which Jay Sacinandan Prabhu will lead till 12:30. So from 12:30 to 1, we are going to discuss how we can approach Krishna and how we can transform our pain into a very effective state where we can be effectively contributing and bringing light to this world. Is that okay? We'll have more kirtan. I hope this discussion on pain is not giving you pain. So yesterday one devotee told me, Prabhuji, embracing the pain concept se thoda logon ko pain hoga. So I was a little skeptical because you have come for a retreat. But unfortunately, many of us have not accepted that retreat is not simply a pleasurable picnic. It's a we want to have a thought-provoking sessions so that we are forced to think about where our lives are heading to. We're discussing about embracing pain. I'll just conclude with the last few points and then we'll discuss the next topic. So when we go through suffering and pain, often to avoid confronting it, we may get distracted by some movies or some YouTube videos and things like that, or we may binge watch movies on Netflix. So what these things do is, it numbs the pain for some time. But when it actually comes back, it comes back with interest. And that's why the illness related to mental illness is increasing now. Because that inability to acceptance is one of the three principles I discuss in my book, Mind Your Mind. The second principle is acceptance. So that's very, very important, because generally what we do is, to avoid pain, we stimulate ourselves. Sometimes people say, Prabhuji, distraction is a big problem nowadays. Distraction is not a problem. Stimulation is a problem. We are stimulated. We want to be stimulated. So when we want to be stimulated, we get distracted. We pick up gadgets because we can't face boredom. We can't face inaction. We can't face doing nothing. Sitting quietly like this, we find it absurd. See, when you don't feel like, when you're not stimulated, excited, there is a word for it. That is called boredom. And boredom is such a bad word that we feel we have to stimulate ourselves with something. No. Boredom can be a very amazing experience, and it can be a platform for creativity if you learn how to do nothing. It requires a lot of hard work to do nothing. I don't know if you've seen, I've seen old people. I grew up with my grandparents in a village. They would sometimes sit in the fields like this in the evening, just stare at nothing. And then after some time, go back home. I mean, they were not restless. They were just being. They were present. We are restless. We think, and nowadays, relaxation is a bad word. Not doing anything is a bad word. No, but you are not getting stimulated. That's a great thing. You will learn to appreciate nature. You will learn to be with yourself. And then when you are with yourself, you come face to face with your trauma, with your past. And that's when you need to resist the temptation to run away from it. Just face it. Inhale, exhale. So there are two kinds of suffering. One that leads to more suffering, and one that ends all suffering. So let your suffering be that which ends all your suffering. By facing it, by turning to Krishna. I don't know if you know, in India we have this festival, Gudi Padwa, New Year. What are the first thing they serve in Gudi Padwa? Neem, kadwa. Why? It is an harbinger of auspiciousness. Kadwa khao pehle. Very bitter, neem. In China also, they have a saying, Chiku Shifu. Chinese, same thing they say, what we say. So there, Chiku means eat bitter, Shifu means auspiciousness. So eat bitter to get auspiciousness. तो उसको पीना पड़ता है कड़वाहट को. Halahal wish which Lord Shiva drank. Accept, and then you will feel liberated, and you will be amazed by how you feel free. At the eye of the storm, there is peace, calmness. Similarly, in the middle of your pain, you will find peace, like these naval commandos. So it's possible. So basically, what the point, essence of what I'm trying to say is, let's take when you are happy, you don't question it, no? So when you are sad, don't question it. When you are happy, how many times you have questioned, why am I so happy today? I don't deserve to be happy. Why am I so happy? We don't question. We take it for granted. Happiness aa gaya. So similarly, when you are very sad, accept it. We are grateful when we are happy. We can be grateful when you are sad also. We may not be grateful for everything. We may not be grateful for a painful situation. This is very important clarification. We are not like Kunti Devi who can pray, who can be grateful for calamities. But at least, we may not be grateful for every situation, but we can be grateful in every situation. In every situation, we can be grateful for something else. Gratitude we can practice. So just like we don't question when we are happy, let us not question. Let us not have all those stories, oh, I am bad, I am maybe very sinful, that's why I went through this experience. You're not sinful, it happened to you. You are separate from that. Your past has determined present, but your past doesn't determine your future. Your present determines your future. So therefore, so this is how we do it. We accept it and then we turn to Krishna. And Krishna is very, do you agree devotees are very intelligent? Devotees are very smart. Do you agree? So you can imagine how Krishna must be smart. When you don't like something, and you tell Krishna, Krishna, I've gone through this pain and I don't like it. And Krishna will make it palatable for you. Like our devotees are expert in making, when I joined the ashram temple, I'm from South India and I never liked North Indian like chole, rajma. Wow, I couldn't stand it. And Kashmiri people, they love rajma. North Indians love rajma. And I'm like, our Punjabi devotee Chowpatty and our ashram, he loves rajma, And I'm looking at him. And when there is upma or idli and I'm eating it and he's looking at me, kya isme kya hai? Culturally, we are so different, na? So when they used to make Arbi is such a austerity for me. It is so sticky. कौन खाता है इसको? And then they used to emotionally blackmail me. Arbi, राधा रानी का favorite है. तो मैंने बोला ये वृंदावन में किसी का खेत होगा अरबी का, उसने बोला है कि अरबी राधा रानी का फेवरेट है. अरबी सब्जी कौन खाता है इसको? अरबी, करेला. I could never eat करेला. करेला, अरबी, छोले, राजमा. So our devotees are so expert. So गौराम प्रभु बोले आज करेला बनाया. बोला पर मैं नहीं खा रहा हूँ, मैं दाल राइस खुश हूँ. And then he showed me that करेला was small उसका सर्कल बना के काट के उसको डीप फ्राई करके एकदम क्रिस्पी उसका जैसा बना दिया, वो वेफर जैसा. बोला ये तो अच्छा है. तो आई फेल्ट devotees कितने इंटेलिजेंट है. कृष्ण भक्त बड़ो चतुर राग सब कुकुर. कविराज गोस्वामी says Krishna's devotees are very intelligent. The rest of all are dogs. So I felt wow, this devotee knows. And then राधा वल्लभ प्रभु मेरा और एक दोस्त है. One day he told me आज मैंने क्या बनाया लंच में? छोले. मैं नहीं खाता, मैं तो दाल राइस खाऊंगा. नहीं आप थोड़ा सा टेस्ट करो, कुछ अलग बनाया मैंने. And I tasted that chole. It was amazing. You will never get this chole anywhere in the world. Because he put Italian sauce, basil leaves, उसमें ऐसा उसको बनाया. अभी उसका मंदिर में नाम है Italian chole. And chole, whenever they make Italian chole, I eat it as if it's a South Indian item. मेरा delicacy खुशी से खाता. अरबी I could never eat. And then our पुरुषोत्तम प्रभु हमारे मंदिर में कुक है, गुजराती है. वो गुजराती का दिमाग पे बहुत चेत रहता है. So he started making अरबी in such a way with some masala and it became so crispy and उसको भी fry करके. My first time I tasted it, I didn't know it was अरबी. It was no longer sticky. So what I'm saying is, devotees are so expert. They know how to make things that are unpalatable for you. And rajma, which I never tasted, now I look for rajma because our Purushottam Prabhu, he started mixing Mexican recipes with it, and the item in our temple is called a rajma tacos. उसमें tacos डाल के और rajma tacos इतना attractive item है. People eat it like a delicacy without chapati, without rice. उसको ही अकेला खा लेते हैं वो item. So now what I'm saying is, when you don't like something, a devotee is so intelligent, he makes it so palatable for you. So if you don't like your suffering, what you've gone through, but if you turn to Krishna, first accept it and then turn to Krishna. Don't whitewash it. Krishna is your problem. No, see, Krishna is merciful. But we have to take responsibility. That verse which we chanted, Tattenu Kampam, Brahmaji is taking responsibility for his situation. So Krishna, I have done something wrong, whatever, I accept it. See, उसमें acceptance में freedom है. Accept I made a mistake. Sometimes we say, we wash it off. नहीं, वो होना था, हो गया. नहीं, होना नहीं, गड़बड़ किया. If you fall from a big height and you break your leg, you can't say, I fell and somehow my leg broke. No, there is law of gravity. That broke your leg. Similarly, you made a mistake. You married the wrong person. You did this. I accept it. I did it. Krishna, now you take care of me. Tell Krishna that, it's a mistake.
Make that person right.
So, like this. So, Krishna is very merciful. Even if you make mistakes. Okay, what is that nice? I forget that line. So, मैं रोज गुनाह करता हूँ, तू रोज मुझे माफ करता है. मैं आदत से मजबूर हूँ, तू रहमत से मशहूर है. So the Lord is very merciful. So when we turn to Krishna in our suffering, Krishna is there. We need to have that firm belief and trust. Trust is the main thing. That मेरे life में भी Krishna will work. Krishna will do something for me. गम की अंधेरी रात में दिल को न बेकरार कर, सुबह जरूर आएगी, सुबह का इंतजार कर. Krishna is there and Krishna will bring light into our lives and he'll help us contribute and add value to so many lives. Therefore, Krishna is our best friend. This is your famous, what is that famous jewelers in Bombay? Tanishq. उनका ज्वेलर, वो लोग क्या करते हैं, गोल्ड को impurities निकालने के लिए they put it in fire. But if they completely put it in fire, what will happen? The gold will melt. And if you don't put it in fire, the impurities won't go away. And the greatest goldsmith in the world is Krishna. And you are like a gold ornament, very precious, very dear to Krishna. Krishna has brought you to fire and he will right temperature to remove all your purification karke, all your past baggage Krishna will remove. But he will not do so much purification that you will melt away, you will burn away, you will not exist. No. Krishna knows how much to give. So Krishna is the greatest goldsmith. Let us trust his intelligence. And there are two practical things we could do which will help us face inconveniences and then enjoy the practice of Krishna consciousness. One is have good association. Yesterday only, one devotee was talking to me and he was saying how when we have good friends, lot of problems in life are solved. Good friends means so much. Somebody with whom you can share your heart and whom you can serve. At least one close friend. And then second, very important is healthy habits. If you have habits per se don't give you ecstasy, but overall a practice of good habits gives you well-being which makes you happy. Like, it's not that if I'm doing yoga every day, it's not that I'm ecstatic when I pick up my yoga mat. No, it's become a habit. So I do the yoga, but the overall effect of doing yoga every day is that you have good health. And that makes you happy. So sometimes devotees, when they are chanting, they are thinking, I'm not feeling ecstasy. Relax. If your hand is spontaneously going to the beat bag, that means you have a healthy habit. And overall, you will see your life is auspicious because you are chanting 16 rounds every day. Devotees are so much addicted to stimulation sometimes that they are thinking every mantra I chant, I need to feel some ecstasy. No, there will be austere element in chanting also. So therefore, we need to have this healthy practice and embrace pain. Just like, I'll give a very mundane example. For those who are married, they can relate to this very well. When you before marriage, during your courtship days, there's a lot of excitement. Once you get married, the whole game changes. That is a responsibility. You don't like to go to office, you go to office. Somebody doesn't like to cook, you cook. So many things you don't like, but you do. But if it's only dry thing which you don't like to do, then you drop everything and you come to a retreat like this to connect with yourself, to connect with your partner. What I'm saying is you need to do both. We need to have healthy rituals, practices which keeps our relationship stable. And we also need to connect with each other to keep that spark of love burning. Right? Similarly, we need to have Hare Krishna austere chanting, which is like cooking or going to office. You like it, don't like it, you have to go. But when things are just getting overwhelming, you drop everything, not your beat bag, you continue to chant. But you come for a retreat like this, you go on a yatra, you meet with devotees. So Krishna loves to play hide and seek. Krishna will not be just always giving you ecstasy. If you want a kick, Satsarup Maharaj writes in Japa Reform Notebook, if a kick is what you want, a bottle of liquor will give you that. We're not here for a kick, we're not here for stimulation, we are here for satisfaction. So therefore, this is the important principle we discussed. One is association of devotees and second is healthy habits. So it could be different for different devotees. Like I have a basket of activities, there are 30 things there. So I put that in front of my table. So bore ho gaya, isme kaun sa karne ka, kya karne ka? Anything you pick up. So some of you may have, I know one devotee who loves to play the flute in our ashram. He's there for last 18 years. So whenever he's low or something, he picks up, he has a big bag of flutes. He's not a professional flutist, but he learned in the ashram. So sometimes 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, he's just playing. That's his way he connects with himself. Some people do journaling, some people do deity worship. So like this, have a basket of activities which are healthy, which are not electronic. Very important. It's probably my hobby. My hobby is to watch movies all night, you know. No. Because that is not a real world. See, there are three worlds. One is real, one is virtual world, which is the electronic world. Second is the real world but temporary, which is our lives. Third is real and also eternal. So at least live in the real and temporary world and real and eternal world, but not in the virtual world. So this is the two principles two values we discussed. I hope it's clear. We can go to the next one. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Okay, one last thing. Why I spoke so much detail on embracing pain is because many of us are victims of self-motivational speakers, so much positive speeches are given that it becomes, there is a term in psychology called toxic positivity. That's so much positivity that we live in denial of our pain and suffering. And denial is the worst lie, because that is a lie you speak to yourself. You know, सबसे बड़ा झूठ वो है जो हम अपने आप को बोलते हैं. So denial में, so many times in the name of positive thinking, I've seen many speakers, many self-help gurus, you know, they just say, no, what is wrong? There is no problem. Everything is good. You know, life is miserable. Life is full of suffering. And happiness is not something, happiness is not your birthright. People say happiness is your birthright, I can have it. No, happiness is something which you get by chance. Till 20th century, all the philosophers who defined happiness, only in the last 30-40 years, happiness is defined as, you know, something you can get when you want. But till recently, happiness was defined by all philosophers as something that you got as a gift of God. कभी मिला नहीं मिला, but life goes on. So it's very important, because last year in the same hall here we had all counselors meeting, and Radharani Mataji and Ushamati Mataji, they made a presentation and they gave startling statistics of devotees who are suffering because of not having this ability to accept that they have gone through pain and suffering. So Radharani Mataji, I think she quoted one statistic which shows that women have a higher depression rate than men. But suicide rate is higher amongst men. And then the analysis of that is that women, although they have a higher depression rate than men, they release it. They either reveal it to someone or they do something, they cry. But men who put up a tough exterior, they eventually get more affected, that they become suicidal. So, if you have pain, cry. Have a good cry. As they say, have a good laugh. Sometimes people think crying is a sign of weakness. No, crying, but with the right person with you, and if you're vulnerable to the right person, then that can be a strength. That means you have the courage to trust someone. अरे बहुत बड़ा वो है. You know, Krishna will see, oh, this person has courage, humility to accept his or her fault and approach another person, and the courage to cry. So Krishna will take it seriously. So instead of trying to pretend to be, you know, strong, be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a strength. जिसके साथ आप हंस सकते हो, उसके साथ पूरा एक दिन निकाल सकते हो. पर जिसके सामने आप रो सकते हो, उसके साथ पूरा जिंदगी निकाल सकते हो. If you can laugh with someone, you can spend the whole day with that person. But if you can cry with someone, you can spend your whole life with that person. And Krishna is there, he's waiting to see us become vulnerable and honest. So this was the point I wanted to make. And these are the two most important values. And the others are very easy and simple. And I'll just start with the third one. Is that okay?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Yes, bro.
About this thing like tolerating the past thing that you say, the entire thing. So I have gone through it in my own life for like good 2-3 years. I was like, you know, this didn't happen to me, that didn't happen to me. I don't know how I overcome it, but now like I remember all those things. But I'm like peaceful. I'm not much affected. So I was thinking earlier, ये तो और भी बुरा हो गया. मतलब पहले at least I was somehow compelled to do something that I was not supposed to do. But then I used to feel so guilty. अभी तो मेरे guilt भी feel नहीं होता. But then from today I think like I don't exactly understand. But yeah, some sense I got that okay. Sometimes like because we are conditioned, so sometimes it's not that because I see for a long time like in my life Krishna has given me like everything. He has arranged everything, and I see भगवान ने इतना अच्छे से सब arrange कर दिया. मैंने एकदम गधे जैसा गलती किया गया सब पानी में. So multiple time it has happened with me, and so much guilt was there. I mean, definitely I can't express everything, but this really helped today's discussion. Like, ठीक है, at least होता है, सबके साथ होता है, मैं अकेला नहीं हूँ.
Now you made mistakes, but you are not a mistake. The problem is, you make mistakes and your identity is merged with it so much that you think you are a mistake. No, you are Sat Chit Ananda. You are eternal, fully conscious, fully blissful. Self-love is needed. Self-love doesn't mean neurotic self-obsession. Self-love means Sat principle. I am good. I am servant of Krishna. I am part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna is all good. ठीक है, गलती किया, आगे बढ़ो. ठीक है? Thank you for sharing your realization. So can we go to the third value? This is interesting. What is this called? Patience. And you have been very patient since yesterday. I want to thank you for tolerating, but I'm very grateful to you for willing to listen to this. This is called Avyagratva in Sanskrit. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami gives 6 rules to improve your japa. So all of you are chanting japa, right? Today very important. 3 o'clock we have the next session. So lunch is at 1. So you can take rest, you can chant, and you can take lunch, whatever. But 3 o'clock be here with your bead bag. We are going to do something. And you have to be here at 3 p.m. All of you can come?
Yes.
Please come. Just a few more hours, then tomorrow session and then chutti. So Avyagratva is patience. Now Sanatana Goswami gives 6 rules for effective japa. And the first one he says is Mana Samskaranam. Mana Samskaran means gently pulling the mind back to chanting. When the mind wanders, gently bringing it back. Listen to the holy name, Hare Krishna, like that. And second rule he says is Shaucha. Shaucha means internal and external cleanliness. Externally we keep up, we take bath, we become fresh. And internal purity, Shaucha means not allowing the wrong kind of things to enter your consciousness, like watching wrong things on your phone or listening to gossip. Don't take negativity through your eyes and ears. Just like when you don't eat wrong kind of food, similarly don't take wrong things into your consciousness. So that is Shaucha. First is Mana Samskaranam, second is Shaucha, third is Mauna, which I am doing since morning. Mauna means? Silence. Silence means not talk at all. Only talk about Krishna or Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, talking can be very exhausting and it can disconnect us from ourselves. So many preachers, what they do, they have a lot of me time. That's why they're able to talk. Like, I don't want to take name. I know one very successful preacher who's preaching to billionaires and big celebrity himself. But he will always do deity worship when he's at temple. He will do chanting. He will hear every day's Bhagavatam class, even if a new devotee is giving. And then we will discuss that class. So he has this, and then he will chant so many mantras. So that Mauna means basically connecting to yourself. Otherwise, when we keep talking, we get disconnected. So either glorify Krishna always or keep quiet. Sometimes people glorify the virtue of speaking upfront so much. Just like, सही समय पे खड़े होके सच बोलने का एक साहस होता है, वैसे ही चुपचाप बैठ के सुनना भी एक साहस है. Just like just speaking the truth is called courage, listening quietly is also courage. Mauna is very important. Mana Samskaran, Shaucha, Mauna, the third, and the fourth is Mantrartha Chintana. Mantrartha Chintana means trying to understand the meaning of the mantra when you are chanting. So when you are chanting Hare Krishna, what is your focus on? Like in the Kirtan, for example. Oh, कौन सा melody था? Okay, before he sings this melody, there is Vaikari and Madhyama. So Vaikari Vak is when this melody is sung.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
So original bhi गा दो. So some of us, first thing when we heard this, Kishore Kumar yaad aaya. That is Vaikari. Vaikari means the sound in its external form. But Mantrartha Chintan means when the Hare Krishna is being sung, we focus on the meaning of the mantra. Which is, what is the meaning of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? There are many meanings. One meaning which is common, which Srila Prabhupada gave us is, O Krishna, O Srimati Radharani, please engage me in your service. So we can make it very personalized. When we are chanting Hare Krishna or listening to the mantra in the Kirtan, we can offer our own struggles to Krishna. Krishna, please help me. So when you are saying, Krishna, please help me, that sound is not coming out of your mouth, but that sound is in the thought form. And that thought also has form. That is also sound. That is called Madhyama Vak. Vaikari Vak is the actual sound. Like if I say, let us go to Govardhan Eco Village for a retreat. That is Vaikari Vak, because I have emitted that sound. But when you say that first in your mind, let me go to the Govardhan Eco Village for the retreat, you haven't actually said it, but you thought about it. That is also sound. That is called Madhyama Vak. So Mantrartha Chintana means when you are chanting Hare Krishna in the Madhyama Vak, which means you are actually focusing on the meaning of the mantra when you are chanting Hare Krishna. So this is the fourth rule Sanatana Goswami gives, Mantrartha Chintana. And the fifth is Avyagratva, patience. And sixth is Anirveda. Anirveda means persistent. Don't give up hope. Asha. Don't give up Asha. Don't give up that optimism. Hold on. And the fifth one, Avyagratva. Anirveda, the sixth one, which I spoke about being steadfast, being hopeful. I'm going back to the fifth point. Avyagratva, patience means don't rush your rounds. Okay, how many of, I'll ask a question. And some of you will not raise your hand because you will feel very embarrassing to raise your hand. So I'll ask this question, you close your eyes and you raise your hand so that nobody sees you and you also don't see anybody. So the question is, okay, close your eyes. How many of you have chanted Hare Krishna being eager to finish your rounds or your eyes on the clock? Keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Now you can open your eyes. No, keep your hands up and open your eyes. You'll be happy to see everybody's on the same boat. So we all are guilty of this, right? And this is a great recipe for not experiencing Krishna. Because you are rushing. Imagine you love someone very much and that person is ready to spend time with you and you are so excited. Wow! And you come to that person and say, I love you. And they're looking at the watch. I love you, but I have to finish this conversation. I have to go back. It's so contradictory, you know. On the one hand, you're saying you love him, and then you're rushing. So, Avyagratva means don't rush your rounds. If you claim to love someone, there is no time. You know that timeless space? Yes. There was a song in Bollywood, 94, long back. And I was a college student. Where he's saying, I wish time stops. Don't ask me the original. I also forgot the original song. But I remember that line, time should stop. That was so fascinating. So in the company of your beloved, you wish the night never ends. You wish time doesn't move, right? And here we are with Krishna, the most attractive personality, and we are constantly looking at the watch. That means Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls this as pramada, madness. He gives a very graphic example. He says it's like you are desperately calling your beloved, come home, come home, come home. And that person comes and you open the door and then you go and sit inside and watch TV or something. You are in your own world. So that person waits for some time, then he says, he doesn't want me, he called me. Then he goes away. And when he goes away, again you go, hey, come. Okay, he comes inside, but then once he comes in, you ignore him. So when we pick up the beat bag, we are inviting Krishna. And then when he comes, we are in another world, we want to finish our conversation with him. So therefore, avyagratva means don't rush your japa. And trust me, of all these 6 rules of Sanatana Goswami, the first time I read this in a book called Japa Meditations by Dhanurdhar Swami. I have that book with me here. And when I read this, it struck such a deep chord because it is so practical. Just try to follow this one rule and see how your chanting changes. Just try this today. We have time till 3 o'clock after lunch. We just try to chant one round without the sense of urgency and then see the experience. You will say, Prabhuji, I have so much seva. So do seva. Who is saying no? We are just talking of being mindful. When you are with Krishna, be with Krishna. You may say, but Prabhuji, if I am very patient, my mind will wander and I may take 10 minutes for a round. So we are not talking about chanting slow. We are saying just have your natural speed. There are some devotees in ISKCON who chant one round in 6 minutes. Generally, it takes 7.5 minutes. And there are devotees, senior sannyasis I know, who take 11 minutes to chant one round. And they are happy because that's their natural speed. So don't get bogged down by the externals. Find your rhythm, natural space, which is a space of being non-rushing. When you relish nice prasadam, how we eat, If you're talking constantly when you're eating nice prasad, you can't even enjoy that prasad. Shanti se I remember once in the temple, I rushed to Gaurang Prabhu. He's going to come and give a class in the evening, so I thought I'll tell one pastime of his. I rushed to him with some sign I wanted for some management, some meeting, some forms. And I was very excited and he was taking his lunch. And I rushed to him and I said, Prabhuji, sign karna hai this problem. He looked at me and said, Are, ek hi to sukh hai yaar. Shanti se prasad khao. Prasad ke baad baat karenge. Let's take prasad now, relax. After prasad we will talk. Then I realized, yeah, he's so right. Why hurry, So what I'm saying is in prasadam, we don't hurry. We want to be...
There is hurry, why to hurry?
So why get excited? So we want to relish prasadam nicely. Similarly, chanting, relax, ho jayega. All that, this is an affirmation I do. I say this many times when I get up in the morning. See, first thing we do, I think all of us when we get up in the morning, is we look at the watch. That is a sign that we are living in this crazy world of time conscious. So I do this affirmation, and this is like when I take bath or put on tilak. All that needs to be done by me is done. I am at peace. Life is peaceful. Life is relaxed. All that needs to be done by me is done. I am at peace. Life is peaceful. Life is relaxed. So then what happens is then you slow down. And natural organic things, healthy things, they are at a naturally slow speed. Fast, cancer spreads fast. Fast, deadlines, do things fast. That is very cancerous. You can't get all the three together, like you want things done very fast. I've seen people, even devotees, they're in projects, they want things done very fast. They want it cheap also. And they want good quality also. So I tell them you can get only 2 of these 3. Do things very fast and you want cheap also, but you will not get good quality. But you want high quality and fast, then you have to be ready to pay price. Tino nahi milega. But we are in a fast world, speed. Lectures also, 2-minute videos, 3-minute videos. कोई आराम से लेक्चर देता है, कीर्तन करता है, नहीं हमको fast. So chanting में वही हो गया, 16 माला, walking, from like I asked, in Sanskrit, in Bhagavatam there is a verse. I'll end with this, then it's lunchtime. But don't look at the watch, I'll just end this. In Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami used to spend how much time in somebody's house. Shukdev Goswami, Vyasdev very poetically says, he spent the time required to milk a cow. Basically what he means is 15 to 20 minutes. Milk kiya, usko boil kiya, आधा घंटा पकड़ो. But poetic, instead of saying, oh, 25 minutes rukte the ghar pe, is to spend the time as much as is needed to milk a cow. Like in Tamil also, our Balram Shakti Prabhu used to say, they have, if you ask someone, how far is the house? He would say, Kupata Duram. Means that house is as far as your sound can be heard. If you shout loudly, till the last point where your sound reaches, that's where the house is. Kupata Duram. Similarly, in ISKCON also, we have a very poetic way of saying how far is some place. And devotees say, Prabhu, how far is the temple from Grand Road Station? And Prabhu, it is 1.5 rounds. So if you start chanting your japa, by the time you reach temple, 1.5 rounds will be over. It means around 10 minutes. So we have become very speed conscious. Our japa has become very speed conscious. So this retreat, I request you have time, please try to chant non-rushing rounds. Just try to chant one round patiently at your natural speed without the pressure of time or finishing the rounds. Is that okay? Can you do that?
Yes.
Many years ago, I saw one TED talk. I forget the name of that talk, but I'll tell you. There's one lady who was a fisherwoman community. She was growing, an American lady, and she came to the city. And she speaks about her experience, how everything was fast in New York, and everybody was running around. And then she forgot her roots, and then she slowed down. She was patient, and she did her spiritual practices, and then she went back to her village life. She connected with herself better because she slowed down. So the entire talk was based on when there is pressure, slow down. We think if I'm in pressure, I have to speed up. So we'll continue this discussion next time at 3 o'clock with some exercise also. But I would request you to take lunch now if you are taking lunch, and then chant at least 1 or 2 rounds, at least 1 round without the pressure of time or finishing the round. And then I want to hear your experience. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Lunch Prasad ki Jai.